Jimmy McAllister found the net. Goal for Wednesday.
Terrific goal by Taylor.
Chris Waddle, is he going to have a crack?
Oh, he does, and it's goal. Still Glenn Wheeler. Aidan Flynn whacks the goal. Is there time for a winner?
Hello and welcome to the preview show. This is Sheffield Wednesday tie-dye. What am I doing there? That was awful. Let me start again. Hello and welcome to Wednesday tie-dye podcast. This is the preview show where we speak to our opposition. Derby County will be coming to Hillsborough on not Saturday, Monday this time, to take us on and see if they can take away 3 points like most clubs have already done this season. With me to tell us all about the Rams is Chris from Steve Bloomer's Washing. Chris, how's it going, mate? You all right?
How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's always good. I know you've been on a few times. It's always good to have a chat. I think there are quite a lot of similarities between Derby and Sheffield Wednesday, certainly in recent times. Anyway, I'm just going to talk about previous meetings. I'll just kind of quickly run through them. We'll concentrate on the games played at Hillsborough this time round, as you know, this one is at Hillsborough on Monday. 3 straight wins for us against you at our place. Last time out, it was a 4-2 win, remembered most for the stupendous goal scored by Josh Windass from his own half. You have to go back to 2020 for the last time that you beat us at Hillsborough. 3 goals in the first half for you. Tom Lawrence with a brace before Jason Knight scored a third. Josh Windass scored in that game as well, albeit a consolation goal in the second half. In that squad for you that day, Ben Hamer in goal, who we had at one point, and a certain Mr. Wayne Rooney in the middle of the park. Chris, when you think of Wednesday against Derby, do you have any fond memories of this fixture at all?
Yeah, 1 or 2 that I think I probably bored you and Liam with in previous calls. I went to university in Sheffield, so it was an easy away day for me about 20 years ago. The best one was obviously the 2-1 win in September 2006 when Steve Howard got the winner. That was glorious. I went a couple of other times. I think I went the season before and we lost 2-1, where I think Chris Brunt scored the winner for you. I went in the 07-08 season, that season for the uninitiated, for Derby County in the Premier League, where we got you in the cup in the 3rd round or 4th round, I think, in a replay, and we won on penalties on a midweek, I think, which was a rare moment of joy in a obviously desperate season. More recently, let's see. I went about 8 or 9 years ago, I think, when we won 1-0 and Rob Hulse scored the winner, which I'm sure probably boiled a fair amount of urine up your way, I imagine. Most recently, I went this January just gone in the 4-2 and stood aghast, mouth open, as our 6-foot-plus goalkeeper got lobbed from 55 yards or whatever it was.
It gets longer every time you talk about it, to be fair.
Yeah,
it's one of those
an extra yard on every season, yeah. I think that was one of the rare games where I left early. I managed to get a bus back down from outside the other end of the ground, back down towards the city centre, and I think we scored as I was getting on the bus. But yeah, it was time to go home. It was an awful day, but yeah, some good and bad, but always decent games. I think not many bore draws or uneventful games over the years.
Yeah, I was just looking as well, and there's this fixture for a long time. I think 2006 was the last time that we won, right up until 2017. So there was a lot of games where we couldn't beat Derby County. Certainly at Pride Park, I know we kind of sorted that time around, which that one of those fixtures that we just knew we were never ever going to win, but hopefully that's turned around now. Let's talk about last season then, Chris. First season back in the Championship after 2 seasons down in League One. You were doing okay, let's say, up until Christmas. Then you beat West Brom on Boxing Day and then proceeded to lose 7 on the bounce, including that 4-2 against us. And then you went 12 without a win, 10 defeats and 2 draws. You slipped into the bottom 3, but you managed to get out of there. What was the season like from your perspective?
Yeah, a bit of a roller coaster. It was. We all wanted Paul Warne to succeed as Derby manager last season, as a thoroughly good guy and the man who got Derby out of League One. But after a relatively okay start, it just became blindingly obvious around Christmas that he wasn't the guy to take us forward. We had that awful run. Almost all the goodwill for Warren disappeared. And yeah, we made the change in February, I think it was. John Eustace, who we got from Blackburn because, Blackburn had their own problems at the time, and Eustace had a previous connection with the club, having played for us about 10, 12 years ago. So he saw it as a relatively easy move to make from Blackburn. And he had a bit of a rocky start, lost his first game 4-0 at QPR, but then changed a few things. And basically, it was a great escape. I know that term gets thrown around a lot by fans of other teams when you avoid relegation, but people ask me about this season quite a lot, and we were, I think, 7 points adrift of safety in March. So we were doomed. Lots of our fans said that. They couldn't see a way out. We thought it was back to League One, have to start again with Eustace, but we went on a terrific run under Eustace, managed to pull ourselves out, and in the end, we were just about safe by the final day. So yeah, a remarkable turnaround, which seems a long time ago, really, given what's happened since. And yeah, expectations have changed over the summer. Spent a fair bit of money. We're in a lucky position to do that. I mean, I've joked with Liam before when we've come on and spoken to you guys that at any given time, only one of our two clubs is allowed to be normal. And right now, it's us that are in a relatively comfortable position compared to Sheffield Wednesday. So yeah, things are looking up. We're solidly mid-table, just about. I don't think we should really be worrying about relegation this season. I think we've just about got enough quality. You never know. The Championship's mad. But we're hoping to look up this season rather than over our shoulders.
Yeah, definitely. Let's talk about John Eustace then, the gaffer. I suppose the appointment did raise a few eyebrows that he left Blackburn to come to a struggling Derby side in the same league. I know they had their own problems, and I'm sure, if you look more into it, they're Blackburn and the ownership problems and things like that. But what did you think when he was appointed? Because obviously, like you mentioned as well, he played for you at the back end of his career as well, so you kind of know what John Eustace is like.
Yeah, I was pleased. It sort of came out of a bit of a curveball appointment, really. He wasn't really one that was being talked about when the usual suspects were doing the rounds about who was going to replace Paul Warne. But his record was solid. He'd never actually got a team promoted, but he got Birmingham in a good position before they got rid of him. He had Blackburn in a good position before he left for us. So he had a relatively solid CV of getting teams competitive in this division and getting them there or thereabouts, even if he's never quite stayed long enough to get anyone over the line for this reason or that. So yeah, once obviously conversations were had and he was sounded out as to whether he fancied it, and I think it seems reading between the lines with Blackburn, he'd been made promises about the money he'd have to spend, but I think there's issues with the Venkis and them not being able to get their money out of India and that sort of thing. So it just seems to become clear to Eustace that he wasn't really going to be able to move them on much. And I think that's been evident in the fact that they are struggling a bit this season. Whereas we said to him, look, if you keep us up, you'll have money to spend over the summer. I'd imagine that's what was said. Or you'll have more money to spend at Derby than you will at Blackburn. And that's proved to be the case. So yeah, he's very different to Paul Warne. I mean, with Warne, is such a heart on his sleeve kind of a manager, and his pre-match presses used to last for hours, and he was jokes and anecdotes, and he'd tell you his hopes and dreams and tell you everything you wanted to know. Eustace, by comparison, is super media trained, holds his cards very close to his chest, gives almost nothing away. I mean, the videos the club puts out on our YouTube for his pre-match just seem to get shorter and shorter before every game, to the point where they're about 2.5 minutes long now. It's like, any injuries? No. What do you think of the game? Yeah, be a good challenge. We're looking forward to it. There's almost no value in any of his interviews. That's fine. I don't really care about that, because as long as we're performing, it doesn't really matter, does it?
No, not really. Yeah. Everyone as a fan, you want all the information you want, but really, ultimately, what use is it really? You're not picking the team, you're not talking to the players, and all stuff like that. What does the John Eustace Derby County side look like? Has he got a style of play? Is it quite evident how he's trying to get the guys to play football?
Yeah, quite pragmatic. Usually a 4-2-3-1 guy, a 3-4-3 guy. So three at the back. We chopped and changed with 4 at the back, 3 at the back. And I think we're settling on 3 at the back now, with wing backs and then 2 in the middle and then 3 up top. Doesn't really seem to be possession based. And we have struggled when teams sit in and invite us to break them down. So we seem to try and be quick in the transition and hit teams on the break, home and away, to be honest. So look, it's not really free flowing. It's not hugely attractive to watch. It can be a bit industrial, can be a bit robust, can be quite direct. So it's not that dissimilar to the football served up under Paul Warne, to be honest. It's just a bit more effective and efficient, So, but yeah, we're certainly not like a Steve McLaren team from 10 years ago where it was sort of, 10, 15, 20 pass moves and goals from all over the place.
Yeah, you mentioned about kind of possession. I was looking, and there's only one side that actually averages less possession than what you do, and that's Charlton. You're sat on 42% possession on average. So, yeah, clearly like to give up the ball. It's funny, actually, because I speak to all of our opponents, and everyone says the same thing. We can't break teams down when teams give us the ball, we don't really know what to do with it. I think that's kind of just a bit of a theme so far in the Championship. There's not many good footballing sides in terms of the Pep Guardiola way of playing. I think that's kind of going out the window somewhat. Everyone's tried it and can't really do it anymore, or at least teams have found other ways of winning football games. You mentioned about expectations. You finished 19th last season, as we've already spoken about. What you said you spent some money in the summer and some decent money as well. What are the expectations this season? Is it just mid-table, just to solidify as a Championship club, or are you wanting to go a bit further? Because this league is poor. It's really poor. Like you can throw a blanket over quite a lot of the teams kind of in that middle area, to kind of from like 4th downwards, really.
Well, I'm glad you said that, James, because that's the point we made. I mean, we got a draw at home to Millwall, who are 3rd and could have gone 2 points off the top 2 last night, but they did not look like the 3rd best team in that division. And it will sound like massive sour grapes, but obviously Carven running away with it, and Middlesbrough look to be gathering a decent head of steam as well now. But the rest of the top 6 and the teams around that, it just feels completely wide open, really. We've played most of those teams now, and none of them have really outplayed us. And our record against them isn't too bad. But for us, we had a really good winning run just a few weeks ago. We won 5 in a row and then 6 out of 7, and that did get people talking about the P word. But I think that is a bit premature, really. Mainly because it's the tale of Derby with Carlton Morris and without Carlton Morris. Until he got injured, he was probably the best striker in the league, I'd say. He was top scorer in the Championship. Then he's now got an ankle injury and is out until February. And we've suffered massively, massively as a result. Like, he's just a quality player in both boxes, loads of experience, strong, bullies defenders, holds it up, wins free kicks, scores different kinds of goals. And we just haven't been able to replace his contribution and influence in the team since he got injured, which is a massive, massive shame, because it really felt like we were building to something. Like, he got a hat-trick at Bramall Lane, which I'm sure you lot would have enjoyed. And
that pass from Sidey Peck was probably the best through ball I've ever seen in football history, to be fair. And the way that you silenced their song that they obviously they sing as well with the music, I think was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I was there at the time. I was there in the away end, and we had lads still coming in from the concourse beyond the goal, saying, "What's happened? Have we scored?" Because it was about 20 seconds into the second half. I've never seen anything like it. It was absolutely brilliant. So, yeah, to go back to your question, I think most people were happy with a mid-table season, as much as people can be. I mean, all fans want their team to have something to play for, don't they? No one's really going to say, like, "Oh yeah, stick me down for 13th. That sounds great." Like, you want your team to be competing, don't you? But we're all aware of where we've come from. There's a lot of promise in this Derby team, but I think due to injuries and form, We're just 2 or 3 players and a bit of luck short of really cracking the top 10 consistently, I think. So it seems like we're almost halfway into the season now, where we're probably going to finish somewhere between 10th and 16th, I reckon.
Yeah, let's look at the form then. You've touched on it a little bit already. You drew 1-0 with Millwall last night, 2 own goals in that game. I've not seen them, but yeah, that's always one that kind of perks up your interest a little bit. 3-1 defeat to Leicester, 2-1 defeat to Middlesbrough. You did beat Swansea on the road, and then you lost 3-2 to Watford, that game that Carl Morris did get injured in. Just looking at it, you don't keep many clean sheets, or you haven't been recently anyway, but you always score as well. So it's, for the neutral, I guess it's watching Derby County is not too bad.
Yeah, no, it's been a relatively entertaining season, despite what I said about the style of football. On that run, we had some great results. And we beat Holland there as well, who were top 6 material. Just suicidal lapses at certain moments in games. I mean, we were beating Watford with 15 minutes to go, and we're beating Middlesbrough away with 15 minutes to go, and ended up losing both those games.
We've been there beating Watford with seconds to go, and we didn't lose that one, but we drew that one the other night. That was heartbreaking. So I feel your pain.
Well, yeah, I think it speaks to that wider point that there isn't that much separating a lot of teams in this division, is there? Like, not many teams have been out of sight against us this season, apart from Leicester, and that was just an absolutely catastrophic first half an hour where we gifted them 3 chances and they scored 3 goals. Should have been 4. They had 1 disallowed that wasn't offside. So Leicester was the only one where we just completely capitulated in the first half. So
looking at that, I think that's the only game where you've lost by more than 1 goal, other than
there's Coventry as well.
Yeah, but I said the 5-3. There was a 3-1 at the start of the season, but kind of since them first opening games of the season, there's been 1 goal in it. I think either way as well. In most of the games.
Yeah, and they scored 5. So look, we're competing, but we just can't quite do it for the full 90. So yeah, I think. People talk about John Eustace being a bit of a streaky manager, goes on winning runs, then has losing runs, and that's basically exactly what we were doing until last night. 1-5 on the bounce. Then if we'd have lost last night, we'd have lost 3 on the bounce. So yeah, it's good to get a relatively jammy late equaliser against Millwall to sort of stop the rot, as it were, if you can call it that, after losing two games. And hopefully we've got a few more what look like winnable fixtures with respect to yourselves. We've got Portsmouth at home, who I think are very much a mixed bag. So I'm hoping we go into the busy festive period with a bit of momentum and picking up a few more wins.
Yeah, definitely. Let's talk about some of the players then. Obviously, we'll not talk about Carlton Morris because he is injured. A player that's played, I think you've got 2 ever-presents in your squad, one being the goalkeeper, the other one is Matt Clark, central defender. What can you tell me about him? It seems to be pretty solid as a centre-back.
Yeah, good player. I love Matt Clark. Relatively solid championship defender. He's not perfect, but if he was perfect, he wouldn't be playing the championship. Tall, gets on the end of set pieces. I mean, scored an own goal and then basically forced Millwall's defender to score an own goal last night. So bit of a menace at both ends of the pitch, if you know what I mean. Loves a little overlap down the left sometimes because we play 3 centre-backs. Loves a cheeky little run down the channel. Sort of one of those steady Eddie defenders most of the time. We had him on loan about 5-6 years ago, actually, and then Brighton took him back, and he sort of did the rounds in the Championship at West Brom and Middlesbrough, and then ended up coming back again under Eustace, and has been ever present ever since then.
Another player, a bit. I'm surprised he's only 26 years old, actually, because I feel like he's been around for forever. Ben Brereton Diaz, to give him his full name. Flattered to deceive somewhat. He's only popped up with 1 goal for you so far this season. Are we expecting a little bit more from him?
In short, yes. He's a constant source of frustration for us at the moment because he's at the right age and he's got the right profile. And we thought, look, we've rescued him from a couple of underwhelming loan spells that he had. He went to Spain for a bit and he was at Southampton. But we just haven't quite got the player who banged in 22 in the Championship for Blackburn from that player yet, which is very frustrating because we've been playing him in basically the same position. I don't know if it's confidence. I mean, put it this way, like Eustace seems to really seems to rate him to the point where teams always have that player that fans think the manager just will not drop, no matter how badly they play or how little they contribute. And BBD, as we call him, is that player for us. Like against Leicester on the telly at the weekend, he finally got hooked after about 65 minutes, and there was like a huge ironic cheer, which you don't really like to see your own fans cheering one of their players. But it had got to that point where he just wasn't posting the numbers. He scored one goal this season, and he scored a great goal at Wrexham in September, I think, and hasn't really done a huge amount since. He works quite hard, which I think is why Eustace keeps him in over other options that we have in that position. But yeah, I think when we signed, we were all quite excited by him because he had experience and goals at this level. And he's an international. Like, he gets games for Chile and scores for them. But for whatever reason, I can't really put my finger on it. It's just not happening for him at the moment. But that's not to say it won't in the future. Like, things can turn around. So, yeah, maybe that could start at Hillsborough. Fingers crossed.
Well, hopefully not. I hate it when strikers get called for, they've got great work rate, obviously, to put the ball in the back of the net. Like, that is just a bit of just trying to gloss over the fact that you're not scoring goals, to be fair, in my eyes anyway. Let's, before we kind of get on to Monday's game, just quickly, where you've had ownership problems as well. We're going through a similar thing. You was in administration for what felt like forever. You were kind of, from the outside looking in, like moments away from not, the club being liquidated and things. What was it? What was it like, kind of during that process? And now you're kind of out the other end. How are Derby County as a football club now?
Yeah, well, in short, we're fine now. We're absolutely fine. But yeah, what you guys are going through really gives me PTSD for what we went through. Like, I was thinking about this before we came on, and it was a real emotional process for us. I mean, at first there was like shock and anger and fear because we just didn't know what the future held. And over the following 9 months, we had the 21-point deduction, which obviously relegated us. Although there were a few fleeting little moments where it looked like we may have enough to somehow pull off an utterly miraculous escape, but we ended up accepting our fate with about 5 or so games to go, I think, in the end. And then those emotions sort of turned to like defiance almost. There was anger and defiance at like the EFL and to other clubs because like a few clubs came to Pride Park and happily sang from the away end about our demise, which, we've got the receipts on that one. We remember who those clubs were. And yeah, it was a really dark period. There was a lot of doom scrolling about who's going to rescue us. We had a lot of tyre kickers who were rumoured to be linked with buying Derby. And then there was a lot of key phrases that got thrown about by the administrators, like imminent updates and 24 to 48 hours, there'll be something new. And literally, when I read those words now, it just sends like a bit of a chill down my spine because the amount of times we heard those buzzwords and those empty promises over 9 months about something happening. And yet, in the end, you mentioned it yourself, David Clowes, a local multimillionaire who came in because he said on the record we were 7 days from going under. We were 7 days from liquidation. We were a week away from being chucked out of the league. So he just got to the point where he had to save us. He had to rescue us. Like he's like a North Stand season ticket holder in his 50s, very quiet, unassuming, reserved guy who just happens to own a property empire and have loads of money. But he decided to come in and save us from administration for about 55, 60 million quid, I think it was in the end. And yeah, thankfully, it's all ancient history now, and we can hopefully build and live happily ever after. But yeah, Clowes is not like the previous owner. He's very publicity shy. He wouldn't do any interviews if it's up to him. He's just like this quiet, unassuming guy who is just absolutely mad about Derby. He can talk about Derby all day long, but he did what he had to do. And yeah, I do not sympathise whatsoever with Sheffield Wednesday and their predicament. I know some Derby fans have said like, there's sort of reshared videos of like, probably 15 of your fans who were singing about Derby dying outside Pride Park 3 years ago. Like, we know it's a minority. Like, no one wants to see a club of your size in the situation it's in. And a lot of fans said that to us about us at the time. There was a lot of goodwill. So I do sympathise. I hope you find a way out of it. But I think in the short term, it's having to suck up that relegation, that short-term pain for the sake of a longer-term rebuild and having a club to support in a couple of years' time.
Yeah, I'm just thankful that it's happened kind of now. So yeah, you're right. Like, we're going to take the relegation, but this is, it's quite a long period of time until the next season starts, where maybe it can be rebuilt when it looked like nothing was ever going to happen. So yeah, it's strange, and it feels really flat at the moment. You'll probably see I don't know if you're coming to Hillsborough on Monday, but if you're watching it as well, it's just such a flat atmosphere because there's nothing to cheer about. We're not playing very well either, which is crying shame. Just on Monday's game, you've already spoke about it already a little bit in terms of you can say you're playing a team that's bottom of the league that's 13 games without a win. Are you seeing this as a good opportunity, even though it is away from home, to actually get that win that you're needing? Because like I said, you're in a bit of a dip of form yourselves as well.
Well, of course, yeah, we've got to be targeting it as a win. I think it's only sensible to say that, but it's far from a foregone conclusion, particularly as you do seem to just have a bit of a decent record over us over the last few meetings. I was looking at your squad and the players that have come and gone since. Obviously, Barry Bannon's probably going to be carried out of Hillsborough in a coffin. He's probably going to die at Sheffield Wednesday, I imagine. But apart from him, I think the players that caused us damage in the recent meetings, most of them seem to have moved on. So, yeah, hopefully, I do think we have the quality. We've got the quality to win at Hillsborough, but I'm definitely not taking it as given, because it is a crazy division, and I think if the crowd at your place gets a sniff, then it can be a difficult place to go to. So I think we could and should win, but what actually happened in the game, I've absolutely no idea.
Well, you spoke about, and obviously we mentioned the possession stats and the fact that you're quite happy just to let the other team have the ball. And I believe a lot of Derby County fans are going to be there on Monday. I think you've sold quite a lot of tickets in that away end. Are you, given we are so far adrift at the bottom of the league and we are so poor, are you going to accept kind of Derby County just letting us have the ball? Because I think this sometimes there's an element of you want more, and wait a minute, these are this team is the bottom of the league. Like, we should be taking the game to them, or as fans, have you accepted the fact that we are just going to let the other team have the ball and we're going to win the game? Yeah,
well, it's not like you'll have 80% possession and be sort of passing rings around us, But I think we will. Yeah, we probably will go direct again. We probably will look to hit you on the break again. I think, as a lot of teams tend to stay away from home, I don't really think we're a possession team, really. We haven't quite got the players to pull it off. So, yeah, if it means we win, I think that's the most important thing. I personally don't really care how that happens. So, yeah, I would imagine it may not be the prettiest of games, given your form and your season and our style. But
Monday Night Football, 8:00 on Sky.
But he'd be flicking over and watching, I don't know,
Country File or something. Yeah. Something else. It's funny, actually. I said that the other week, and then we ended up nearly winning that game as well. It was against Millwall. Was it Millwall? Can't remember now. I did a watch along, and I told people that they could just turn over at 8:00, and we scored in that first 10 or 15 minutes. So yeah, maybe I said that this time as well. Go on then, give me a score prediction, Chris. What's the score going to be on Monday night?
I'll say 2-1 Derby, I think, but we won't make it easier for ourselves because we rarely do.
Well, quite a lot of your games have finished 2-1 so far this season, so that's probably not a bad bet there. Chris, where can people find all your stuff if indeed we do manage to turn you over on Monday?
So we've just released for any Wednesday fans and no Derby fans, we're on Patreon mainly these days. It's patreon.com/Steve Bloomers Washing, and we do have a back catalogue on Spotify as well, so you can search for us there.
Great stuff. Chris, massive thanks for coming on. All the best for the rest of the season. Hopefully we get our second win of the season against you on Monday, but after that, like I said, all the best.
Cheers, James. Thank you.